plus I'm originally from near Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and I've been to Carpenter's Hall, that's Independence Hall, and when we stood in line to touch the Liberty Bell, I hugged it because I'm an American. This is my country, and you don't do this to me by stabbing me in the back and think, ha, I'm going to get away with it. And there's people like me, thank goodness that you have people like me that won't give up and fight for years, because I'm not only fighting for me, I'm fighting for this veteran and other veterans out there, some who don't care, some who wish it would go away or whatever, some who don't have the means to do it. I'm doing the best I can with what I have, which is like nothing. And I've always done this, what I say, with a typewriter, a piece of paper, some envelopes, and some stamps, a wing and a prayer. And I finally, when I got to court again in 2001, I was in Billings, Montana. It was September 4th, 2001, and I submitted this to the court again. And this time, thanks to a friend who's in the federal judiciary, who looked these over, and he said, Ed, all you need is this document and this document to prove that the government lied
to you,
because the Air Force actually admitted that we have no proof whatsoever we corrected any of your records for 25 years. So that's fraud upon the court. And I gave that to this judge in Billings, Montana, and the next from 2001, 2002 went by.
Well, that was September 4th. That was September 4th, 1 week before 9/11.
1 week before 9/11. And then we went along through 2001, 2002 of motions back and forth, file this brief, file that brief. And I kept heaping more and more documents upon them other than the two that I submitted. I attached this court order from New York and said, here, but we have this proof that this, and I kept shoveling this out.
Are you doing it, or your lawyer doing it?
No, I was doing this because
Personally?
I had no lawyer.
Okay.
And though I tried to get one, and as I traveled around New York State, Missouri, Illinois, Montana, and Oregon, I would call the bar associations in each state and ask for the names of 40 lawyers. That was my limit. I said 40 is enough. And I would call these lawyers that they have records that I called there and asked that I would try to find a lawyer who would help with this. Some of them said, come on in, let me see him. Oh, my God, I don't want to get involved in this. As soon as they'd look at them and start to see what it is and really got a better explanation, they would go, oh, I don't want to get involved. And, of course, me being a combat veteran, I had to say something. I go, what are you fellas chicken here or what? You're supposed to be lawyers. I mean, we're just talking during a legal procedure here. What seems to be the problem? Oh, I don't want to get involved. So I had to do this on my own, and I'm pretty good at it, and in fact, very good at it. But yet, I know when I'm smart enough to know when I need an attorney to help get this thing through. And but we never could quite get there. But in 2001, I had this evidence, and the U.S. Attorney's Office called up the Fort Harrison, New York Regional Office of the Veterans Administration and told them to destroy a 536-page legal transcript submitted to any federal court clerk. That's a 5-year prison sentence. And they
Who ordered, go back, who ordered to destroy the transcript?
I believe the United States Attorney's Office in Billings, Montana did this. Because why would somebody in the Veterans Administration just say, oh, I select that file over there, and in that big file box is this big I'm going to pull that out of there and go shred it. Why would they do that? Somebody had to physically call and contact this man in order to tell them to go to that box, to pull that document out, and to shred them. And that was my evidence. On page 63 of this transcript was the very same document the government said would never show up again, and here was the Veterans Administration with that document submitting it to the United States Court of Veterans Appeals in Washington, D.C. What more better thing can you have is a government agency submitting it to a United States federal judge? The evidence doesn't get any better than that. And guess what? The transcript was destroyed. And besides that, the same person at the U.S. Attorney's Office told that person up in Montana, listen, fill out a claim for frostbite on Crosby and stick it in his records. So they did this. The next thing, I get a letter from the Veterans Administration about, we need more information about your claim for frostbite. And I go, I never opened a claim for frostbite. So through 6 or 7 months, writing letters back and forth, I have no idea what you're talking about. Please produce proof of this.
Yeah.
Finally, I filed a complaint with the VA Inspector General. And the Inspector General came to Montana and investigated this. And what he found out was that this official United States government document that all veterans know about, that they have to fill out for service connected, somebody filled it out and then forged my signature on it. And I believe that was done to character assassinate a litigant, because somebody could now, the U.S. Attorney could go into the judge and say, look, Judge, we got another one of these crazy Vietnam veterans here. Oh boy, he opened a claim for frostbite. How do you get frostbite in Vietnam? But the other thing that they determined was that somebody did do something funny, because the head guy of that regional office, William Peterson, was now transferred from Fort Harrison, Montana to Kentucky. So they knew something happened, and they figured, I guess if we get rid of him, and sometimes what I lack is the funding to be able to call up in Kentucky, get a lawyer to go over and depose that guy. And I could submit the question to him.
Yeah.
But we know that the evidence was there, and then we finally got a letter from the VA. We've researched and looked through your records. The 536-page legal transcript submitted to any federal court clerk is missing. It's we can't find it. It's
totally
not here.
Gone.
So it's gone. So in most federal courts, when you go back to a judge and say, Judge, it would appear that the evidence, who they were the custodians of it, it was in their possession. I didn't have it. They had it. It disappeared. And the judge would immediately award you the benefits or do whatever, because they no longer have the evidence. They destroyed their own evidence.
So to this day, nobody's acted upon that destruction, upon that act, upon any ruling to your benefit since then?
No. And in this court case, I actually submitted a motion to compel. And I wanted to know, did the U.S. Attorney call this man up at the Fort Harrison, this William Peterson? What day they did it? I want to see all the U.S. Attorney's notes, because they must have, because this guy in Fort Harrison, Montana, sent a statement, an affidavit down, and had it put in the records as though he were some sort of expert on these code numbers, which, after reading his affidavit, if you looked at these documents, you would ascertain that he was wasn't too qualified to even talk about it. But that's what happened, and it was rather unique. Nobody answered my motion to compel. And in this particular, the docket number here, this is the case that went to the U.S. Ninth Circuit Court of Appeal. You can see the docket numbers from 2002, and there it is, and it went to the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals. And in here, I point out to them in my argument, it's my brief, that I submitted this motion to compel to the court, and nobody answered it. And I've been told by judges and other people, law professors, if you submit a motion to compel, the court is compelled to make the other side deliver.
Yeah.
When you submitted it, they never even bothered to answer it. So these are the kind of shenanigans that I've been facing as this just a very corrupt judicial system. And when I look at things with a different eye, and I look back at these things and I go, guess what? The Article 3, Section 1 of the Constitution of the United States says, wow, it doesn't say lawyer. It doesn't say attorney. And because I live near Philadelphia, I know this, that there are supposed to be lay people sitting behind a bench. You, me, dressed in a red robe, not a black robe.
Red robe, really?
Red robe, yes. And you know why red? That's red is for the blood that's been shed on the battlefield to defend liberty and justice for all. And there's only one judge in the country right now. In fact, he is a lawyer, but he wears a red robe. And you don't hear much about him, but he wears a red robe. And when you look at the Constitution, and it doesn't say lawyer or attorney, and it doesn't say bar association, we can clearly state that this bar association and these lawyers have 100% control of our justice system. They have no constitutional authority to be even sitting behind a bench. So what are they doing controlling this? And of course, you listen